Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're stepping right into the high-stakes, high-reward reality of creating 3D models for CG Trader's exclusive Wildcat platform. If you've ever wondered exactly what it takes to produce standard-compliant, enterprise-grade 3D assets, you are in the perfect place. So here's the million-dollar question. Do you have what it takes to pass the Wildcat standard? We're going to find out if you can actually survive the incredibly strict technical gauntlet required to unlock this steady stream of high-paying 3D freelance work. It's an amazing opportunity, but as you'll see, the barrier to entry is absolutely uncompromising. All right, let's dive into our blueprint for today. We're going to look at the Wildcat platform itself, low poly optimization standards, CAD to real-time conversion, mastering PBR texturing, the Kodama validation plugin, and finally, what the actual designer experience is like.
Okay, part one, the Wildcat freelance platform. So what's the big draw driving designers here? Well, Wildcat operates as a direct assignment freelance ecosystem. The absolute best part? It's a no-bidding platform. You get to totally bypass the exhausting grind of hunting for clients and just claim curated modeling tasks right off the bat. And these aren't small-time gigs. We're talking about global enterprise clients, including Fortune 500 companies. With payouts up to $200 per accepted model, it's a pretty sweet deal for steady work-from-anywhere income. But that payout, it comes with some intense scrutiny. Because every single asset has to survive this unforgiving, dual-layered quality verification lifecycle. It works like this. You claim an assignment, build your model, and upload it. Boom! Instantly, an automated checker relentlessly scans every inch of your geometry and textures. If you survive that, you enter a 12-hour visual review window, which is then followed by a grueling 3 to 5 day manual QA review by actual specialists. Make any misstep at all, technical or visual, and you're getting slapped with adjustments needed. It is an incredibly rigid, standardized pipeline. Moving on to part two, low poly optimization standards. Here's the thing. A beautiful visual render just isn't enough anymore. The underlying math has got to be flawless. Your mesh must be made exclusively of quads and triangles, no exceptions. Absolutely zero n-gons, those faces with more than 4 sides. Not allowed. You're also capped at a max of 5 edges connecting to any single vertex. On top of all that, your UV mapping needs to be hyper-efficient, using at least 80% of your UV space with strategically hidden seams. Clean, logical topology is literally the absolute minimum requirement to even pass the entry test.
All right, section 3, CAD to real-time conversion.
This is where a lot of artists trip up. It's basically industrial design clashing with game engines. See, solid CAD models use these infinite mathematical curves and splines. They're hyperdense and infinitely smooth. But real-time platforms, they can't read that math. They need polygonal models made of flat, planar faces where that smoothness is basically just an illusion created by perfectly clean edge loops. If you just hit export on a CAD file without converting it properly, you're going to end up with broken geometry and overlapping vertices. Automated conversion completely fails here. So to bridge that massive gap, you absolutely have to master retopology. This is the manual or semi-automated art of drawing clean, quad-dominant strips directly over your high-poly CAD reference. The goal is to drastically slash that polygon count. We're talking sometimes dropping it down to 45,000 polygons or less, while still flawlessly preserving the original silhouette and volume. Then you basically bake all those crazy dense mathematical CAD details onto your lightweight mesh to fake the complexity. Next up, Section 4, Mastering PBR Texturing. Now, you could have a mathematically perfect mesh, but it's totally useless without standard-compliant materials. The CG Trader Quality Standard demands a strict PBR, physically based rendering, metalness workflow. Every single geometry object in your scene has to have at least one material assigned. And you need 4 mandatory texture maps: base color, normal, roughness, and metalness. Base color has to be pure color, with absolutely 0 baked-in shadows allowed. Metalness acts as a strict mask, and roughness dictates the microsurface detail. If you miss even one of these maps or assign a material improperly, the automated checker will fail you immediately. Which brings us to Section 5, the Kodama validation plugin. Okay, so how do you actually survive all these relentless checks? Enter Kodama. It's the official CG Trader plugin, and honestly, it's like a cheat code for the Wildcat platform. It acts as your ultimate pre-flight checklist, integrating right into Blender and 3ds Max. Before you even think about hitting upload, Kodama scans your scene for n-gons, non-manifold geometry, material naming conventions, and it even automatically rounds up and packages your textures for you.
Here's the exact foolproof workflow. First, you initialize the session. Second, select your specific modeling request ID. Third, configure those PBR textures we just talked about. Fourth, execute the audits to run the automated checks. Fifth, and pay attention, this is crucial, you have to resolve any red blocking errors right there in your viewport. And finally, once you've got all greens, Kadama automatically packages and uploads a perfectly pristine, compliant zip archive straight to the Wildcat platform.
But, even with awesome tools, friction happens. Let me introduce you to the absolute bane of every 3D artist's existence, the dreaded objects have non-reset transforms error. The system demands that before you export, your model's position and rotation must be perfectly reset to 0, and the scale has to be exactly 100%. If your pivot is even slightly off-center and not at absolute 0 on the z-axis, the system will just flat out, unapologetically reject your file. Come on, we've all forgotten to reset our scale at least once, right? Well, Wildcat is definitely going to catch it.
Finally, let's look at Section 6, the designer experience.
So we've gone over the super strict technical rules, but how does the 3D community actually react to these massive barriers to entry? Well, the marketing pitch is certainly undeniable. Join an exclusive community, get full access to curated tasks, and earn up to $200 a pop without the exhausting freelance hustle. It's a hugely alluring promise for anyone wanting steady, high-paying work.
But actually executing this is fiercely debated on the community forums. And we're reporting this objectively, straight from the source material. Some users find these technical constraints literally maddening. One designer pointed out that trying to keep perfect curve definition under 45,000 polygons, combined with strict texture limits, feels like a totally unrealistic specification. For them, Wildcat is an absolute waste of time and effort. And honestly, the sting of those stringent automated checks and manual QA rejections can be a really tough pill to swallow. On the flip side, though, we see a completely different reaction. Another user jumped in and countered, saying, hey, 45K polygons is a lot of polygons to play with if you actually know what you're doing. For this camp, building something visually stunning within these really tight real-time parameters isn't an impossible chore. It's a science on its own. They view passing these checks as the mark of a true professional who fundamentally understands the deep technical demands of modern real-time rendering. Which leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. As the digital world shifts heavily toward interactive, real-time 3D, is this meticulous optimization required by platforms like Wildcat the inevitable future of freelance design? Or are these technical gauntlets simply too steep a hill to climb for the average artist? We've unpacked the standards, the workflow, and the challenges. Now it's totally up to you to decide if you have what it takes to run the Wildcat Gauntlet. Thanks so much for joining us on this explainer.